Excellent. So we're going to continue. Remember, we learned some words that we use for contrast. So let's start this class with an activity on Kahoot.
Toca lo tan equivocada.
Okay. Okay, so please join this activity where we're going to review. Okay, here you have the link, or you can join using this code.
Okay.
Okay, only Ghostly is missing, right? Okay, maybe you can also insert there on the chat, Ghostly, you can join.
Yes, teacher. Sorry, es que me aparece como que no responde la página.
Ah, okay. Don't worry, we can start now. Okay. So let's see that we have three words that mean the same. Tenemos tres palabras. Tenemos although, even though, y though. Esas tres palabras significan lo mismo, aunque, all right? Remember, we're talking about contrasting words, contrasting adverbs, esos son adverbios, perdón, de contraste. Entonces, although, even though, and though. Vamos a decir que though, el último es el más informal. Ok, puedes utilizar cualquiera de los dos en cualquier situación. The problem is that when we start, um, cuando terminamos la oración, no utilizamos though, ¿ok? No utilizamos though, al menos no tiene el mismo significado si lo ponemos al final. O sea, si en lugar de ponerlo al final lo pusiéramos al principio, entonces sí podría ser even though, ¿ok? Even though. Más bien, me refería a even though. Entonces aquí lo que podemos decir, he didn't want to come, though. Here's something very strange, algo también un poco raro con respecto al español, es que en inglés se puede poner aunque al final. Es así como que muy extraño, ¿no? Porque es como si dijera, no sé, no me gusta, no me gustan las fiestas grandes. Iré a la fiesta de mi primo, aunque. Entonces, en español no tiene sentido porque aunque debe de ir antes. ¿Right? Pero aquí sí podemos poner aunque al final. El que no podría ir sería even though. ¿Ok? I invited my cousin to the party. He didn't want to come though. No quería, aunque no quería venir. Así es como podríamos traducir la oración. Aparte, though, se escribe a veces de manera informal como though. Though es una forma de, como vamos a decir, no correcta, pero es una forma de cómo se expresan la juventud hoy en día, vamos a decir, ¿no? Though. So, you can use though, and let's think of though as a substitute of but. Vamos a pensar en though como un sustituto de but, pero. Entonces puedes utilizarlo con cualquier frase y si utilizas though al final vas a sonar muy nativo, vas a sonar muy, bueno, que tienes un nivel más avanzado de inglés, pero recuerden que es solo informal. Lo puedes escribir en WhatsApp, you can even speak it, you can say it, but never in formal English. En un inglés formal es gramaticalmente incorrecto, se tiene que escribir though. Nada más que ya saben que pues les da flojera escribir la palabra completa, entonces nada más pues, escriben though. Okay, so let's think about other example. I I am shy, but I will go to the party. Okay, ahora vamos a reescribir esta oración utilizando though. I am shy. I will go to the party though. I'm shy. I will go to the party though. Y de esa manera estoy utilizando, aunque ambas oraciones quieren decir lo mismo. I am shy, but, or I am shy, coma, I will go to the party though. ¿Ok? Even though no puede ir al final. Tampoco although. El único que iría al final sería though. Ok, aunque though puede ir al principio o al final. Entonces, a ver, para que no nos hagamos bolas otra vez. Although, even though, can't go to the end. No pueden ir al final de una oración. Though can go anywhere. Y though puede ir en cualquier parte, al principio, en medio o al final. Any questions? Let's move on to the next exercise. Very well. Vamos ahora a ver esta palabra, in spite of. So, in spite of quiere decir a pesar de. A pesar de. Ok. Si es parecido a although, porque también es para contrastar, but the use is a bit different. So you say in spite of, a pesar del dolor en mi rodilla, in spite of the pain in my knee, I decided to play the match. Ok. Puedes decir in spite of, también puedes decir despite, que es un sinónimo. Despite the pain in my knee, I decided to play the match. Entonces dijimos in spite of means a pesar de. Okay, let's go. Okay, very well. So, despite. Si vas a escribir in spite, the red option, el primero, in spite, so it needs to, necesita llevar el of, ¿ok? Despite no necesita of, pero in spite sí. La frase in spite lleva el of, in spite of having. But in this case, we don't have it, so we say despite having, a pesar de tener excelentes qualifications, are like, no, no calificaciones, pero son, bueno, quizás sí, pero se refiere a un currículum, cursos tomados, educación, ¿ok? Preparation. Very well. Although, excellent. Although es aunque. Ok. Recuerden que también se puede decir even though or though. Very well. despite. How can we translate this sentence, Nubia? Can you translate this sentence?
Yes, teacher. A pesar del hecho de no tener de que no tenemos mucho dinero, nosotros seguimos siendo una familia feliz.
Very well. A pesar de no mucho dinero, aún fuimos familia feliz. Very well. Excellent. However. So what's the meaning of however? ¿Qué quiere decir however?
Sin embargo,
Exactly. Sin embargo. Okay. There is another synonym for however. Maybe you remember, nevertheless. Nevertheless. Nevertheless is however. It's the same. Okay, how can we translate this sentence, Goosely? Can you translate the whole sentences in Spanish?
yes, teacher. Dice, a pesar de que él vivía en Francia, no hablábamos este idioma, pero creo que era el aunque, ¿no? Ujú.
Very well. Excellent. Entonces, aunque, very well. Let's continue. Okay, very well. She told everyone about my secret. Can you please, Reina, translate this sentence?
Yo digo todo mi secreto a pesar de que yo no le pedí, ¿no? A que no le estoy pidiendo que lo haga.
Excellent. So, a pesar de. Check that after despite, the verb goes in ing after despite. Okay, very well. So thank you. Now, let's go to the next activity. Very well. I don't know, do you have any questions about these words, about this vocabulary?
Can you repeat, please?
Sorry, I didn't hear you. No questions, right? Okay. Now we're going to listen to the next audio. We have Maria and Ian. They are discussing if they like one city or another. Do you know any of these places? Do you know Sydney? Would you like to visit Australia one day?
Maybe.
Yeah. It's a very interesting country, right? There are always big spiders, dangerous animals. But, you know, Sydney, well, there are many cities. There's Melbourne. The interesting thing is that Australia is, it's a very big country, but they don't have a lot of people. So many people feel calm in Australia. They like it. Okay, but let's see. So we're going to listen to Maria and Ian talk about life in Sydney and who seems to enjoy living there more. You can see two aspects, right? You can see the city and you can see the beach. And we will pay attention. They are also using the contrast adverbs. They are saying although, even though, in spite of, however. Let's listen to the audio and then you tell me who said what. Okay, so let's play the audio. Here we go.
Unit 3, Lesson B, page 24, Exercise 5, Life in Sydney, Part A. Listen to Maria and Ian talk about life in Sydney. Who seems to enjoy living there more?
How do you enjoy living in Sydney, Maria?
I love it. I lived in a little mountain town in the U.S. before I moved here, so I'm really enjoying Sydney life. And the climate is great most of the year.
What do you like most about it?
Well, for one thing, it's a very easy city to get around. The public transportation is pretty good, which is important for me because I don't have a car. So, you see, I use buses and trains most of the time. I can usually get wherever I want to pretty easily.
How about you, Ian?
Well, it's a very beautiful city. I love the harbour and the opera house, and the beaches are great, of course.
Oh, yeah, the beaches are great. There are great beaches close to town, like Bondi Beach.
I know, it's true, but I don't have a lot of time to go to the beach because I have to work 2 jobs to make enough money to pay the rent. Actually, I'd really prefer to live somewhere smaller. I find Sydney too fast, too noisy, and definitely too expensive.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm just lucky, but my rent's not bad at all. Actually, since I'm splitting the rent with 2 roommates now, it's about the same as I was paying in the U.S. And, yeah, I love the nightlife here too. On weekends, my friends and I usually go to a club or a place with live music. There's always something interesting going on downtown. I've made lots of friends since I moved here.
That's great. Ian, what do you do for fun in Sydney?
Well, not much, I'm afraid. It's so expensive to do anything here. Also, because of the high rents, I can only afford to live out in the suburbs. And there isn't much happening out there, believe me. I guess once in a while I'd like to go to Chinatown, though. There are plenty of restaurants there where you can eat fairly cheaply. Good ones, too.
Is that right? I can't seem to find cheap food anywhere. In fact, the restaurants near me are so pricey that I hardly ever eat out.
All right, here's a question. If you could change one thing about the city, what would it be?
The traffic, without a doubt. I used to drive back in my hometown, but I hardly ever drive here. There are far too many cars, and drivers are very aggressive. You have to know where you're going, and you have to drive fast, otherwise other drivers can be really rude.
See, I don't have a car, so that doesn't really bother me. Actually, I wouldn't change anything. It's so much better here than in the tiny little town where I used to live.
I don't know. Sometimes I think life is better back home. Sure, it's smaller, but it's easier to live a good life, and you get to know the people better too.
Okay, very well. They're saying about, they're talking about how it's living in this country. And, something that I've seen, I don't know if you ever done that, but there are many people who live with roomies. Have you ever lived with a roomie? ¿Han vivido alguna vez con algún roomie?
No,
Compartiendo.
teacher.
No. Me neither. Maybe just 2 months, but it was not for living. We were just visiting a place like a holiday. Era como unas vacaciones, right? It was 2 months. Long vacation, but no one, nadie, ¿no? Nadie ha vivido con un roomie. Here it's very interesting. Aquí es muy, muy interesante. For what I've seen, I think it's also in Mexico City. I've seen 2 examples. In Mexico City, you can, if you're a student, if you go to university, you can rent a room or you can rent an apartment with another person who is a student too. Sometimes they have very affordable prices because they are made for students. Entonces, muchas veces cerca, por ejemplo, de la UNAM, del Politécnico en Ciudad de México. So they have the rooms that they rent for students, right? So I've heard of some friends that they stay with other people. So you have your own room. En el mejor de los casos tienen su propio cuarto y comparten todas las amenidades, ¿no? Bathroom, kitchen, everything, the living room. And in the worst scenario, they live in the same room. En otros casos, pues están viviendo en el mismo cuarto, right? And this is one thing, because I understand that if you're a student, you can sacrifice that. But some people come here, for example, to Cancún, to Playa, and it's very expensive. Es como a veces es muy cara las rentas. So what many people do, they prefer to live in, I don't know, let's think about rentals they can be in a place that is about 15,000 pesos, ¿no? Vamos a poner un apartamento. An apartment that is somehow big, un apartamento que sea más o menos cómodo, es decir, con 2 habitaciones, un baño y no tan pequeño. I'm not talking about studio. It's about 15,000 pesos, son como 15,000 pesos. Then there are all those studios that they are really, the profit is for tourists, right? There are the condos. Son okay, I think this is the word I am looking for, studios in Cancún, los estudios más bien. Que son prácticamente un cuarto en el que tienes todo. En un cuarto tienes cocina, tienes living room y solo hay un baño. That's it, right? Can you believe that this is 15,000 too? Esto también puede ser incluso 15,000 pesos o más caro al mes. Una renta de un estudio así. So, it's surprising people are willing, instead of searching somewhere cheaper, somewhere more affordable, they prefer to rent a place like this, maybe with 2 beds, maybe not 1 bed, quizás sí, pero con 2 camas, ¿no? Separadas. And they split costs y se dividen el costo. What I think is that in any other place of Mexico, it will be cheaper to live and you don't need to split the price. No necesitas dividirte el precio de un apartamento con nadie, right? In other parts of Mexico, you can find somewhere that is more affordable. But it's something that many people do, and it's something that they also mention in this audio. For example, Maria, she I think she's sharing the place with other person. Ella está compartiendo el apartamento con otra persona. Okay, let's listen to it one more time. And now let's focus on answering the questions. Vamos a intentar buscar las respuestas a estas preguntas, okay? So, let's go. One more time.
Unit 3, Lesson B, page 24, Exercise 5, Life in Sydney, Part A. Listen to Maria and Ian talk about life in Sydney. Who seems to enjoy living there more?
How do you enjoy living in Sydney, Maria?
I love it. I lived in a little mountain town in the US before I moved here, so I'm really enjoying Sydney life. And the climate is great most of the year.
What do you like most about it?
Well, for one thing, it's a very easy city to get around. The public transportation is pretty good, which is important for me because I don't have a car. So, you see, I use buses and trains most of the time. I can usually get wherever I want to pretty easily.
How about you, Ian?
Well, it's a very beautiful city. I love the harbour and the opera house, and the beaches are great, of course.
Oh, yeah, the beaches are great. There are great beaches close to town, like Bondi Beach.
I know, it's true, but I don't have a lot of time to go to the beach because I have to work 2 jobs to make enough money to pay the rent. Actually, I'd really prefer to live somewhere smaller. I find Sydney too fast, too noisy, and definitely too expensive.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm just lucky, but my rent's not bad at all. Actually, since I'm splitting the rent with 2 roommates now, it's about the same as I was paying in the US. And, yeah, I love the nightlife here too. On weekends, my friends and I usually go to a club or a place with live music. There's always something interesting going on downtown. I've made lots of friends since I moved here.
That's great. Ian, what do you do for fun in Sydney?
Well, not much, I'm afraid. It's so expensive to do anything here. Also, because of the high rents, I can only afford to live out in the suburbs. And there isn't much happening out there, believe me. I guess once in a while I'd like to go to Chinatown, though. There are plenty of restaurants there where you can eat fairly cheaply. Good ones, too.
Is that right? I can't seem to find cheap food anywhere. In fact, the restaurants near me are so pricey that I hardly ever eat out.
All right, here's a question. If you could change one thing about the city, what would it be?
The traffic, without a doubt. I used to drive back in my hometown, but I hardly ever drive here. There are far too many cars, and drivers are very aggressive. You have to know where you're going, and you have to drive fast, otherwise other drivers can be really rude.
See, I don't have a car, so that doesn't really bother me. Actually, I wouldn't change anything. It's so much better here than in the tiny little town where I used to live.
I don't know. Sometimes I think life is better back home. Sure, it's smaller, but it's easier to live a good life, and you get to know the people better too.
Okay. Excellent. So we answered the questions. So tell me, please, Reina, it's easy to get around Sydney for Maria, for Ian, or for both? What did you hear?
For Maria.
Okay, very well, for Maria. Goosley, the beaches are great.
I think that Ian,
Okay. For Ian, we had seen around Sydney. For Maria, the rents are expensive. Nubia, what do you think?
Ian.
For Ian, because Maria says that it is not one roomie, she has 2 roomies, right? It's a fun place to live. What do you think, Rain? Okay,
Maria.
Maria. The restaurants are all expensive.
It's Ian.
Ian, he's complaining about how expensive it is. Life is better in a smaller town.
At what?
For
Ian.
both? For Ian. For
Or
both. Okay. Very well. So, what do you think about the place where you live? Let's replace the questions with personal questions for you. So, think about your town or the city where you live. Okay. So, it's easy to get around Sydney. Let's replace with your city. I don't know, maybe you live in Mexico City or in other cities. So, is it easy to get around where you live? Nubia, where do you live?
I live in a town called Nopalucan in Puebla.
Okay.
And I think that, yes, it's easy to get around because there are a lot of transportation. That's it, correct?
Very well. So here is not easy to get around. There are these vans, los colectivos, but it's not the same. In Mexico City, you have many options. Ghostly, where you live, the beaches are great.
Sorry, teacher. But Ian, I live at beaches. It's correct?
Can you repeat?
Yes, please.
You don't
Me
live in
pregunto.
the beach? Close to the beach? No.
Yes, I can live at the beach. I was living in Cancun.
Okay. Well, here beaches are great. That's something good. The beaches are the most beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, very well. Thank you. Reina, the rents are expensive where you live.
I don't know because I live with my family, with my mom, and I paid rent.
Very good. Okay, so here where I live, the rents are very expensive. Like I told you, you can afford a house like you would afford a house in another place. Here you can only get small things. But if you want somewhere, if you want to live somewhere bigger, you need to pay a lot of money. And actually, we found a very good place where we are living now. It has 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, everything, and it's furnished. So it's very comfortable. It's really nice. We love it here. But there are some, I don't know, this apartment you could rent it for twice the price. And some people pay a lot for the rents. I think it's sometimes that it's better just to have your own house, not renting, but sometimes that's what it is. Okay, so Gusli, where you live, it's a fun place to live.
I think that I love my town and really I love the mountains and really we have the closest city 50 minutes away. We have all.
Okay, very well. Here it's a fun place to live too. There are many things you can visit. You have the beach. You can go to Belize, for example. Although Belize is not fun, but you can go to. You have the airport, so it's very easy to go anywhere around the world. The airport is just 45 minutes from here, so you can go anywhere. Okay, so that was a discussion, right, about the place where we live. So we also discussed about we talked about the contrasting adverbs, and now I would like to have your opinion about these other factors, that quality of life. Quality of life. What is quality of life? When a person says like having a good life, tener una buena vida, o vivir en un lugar con una calidad de vida, what does that mean? So we're going to see different aspects. In the first, we're going to discuss all of this vocabulary. The first you can see is affordable housing. The word affordable is similar to cheap. Affordable, just you don't say cheap. Affordable is costeable, okay? Housing is gastos de ya sea de hipoteca o de rentar un lugar, okay? That's affordable housing. Okay, very well. So affordable housing. Variety of restaurants, beautiful parks, convenient public transportation, exciting nightlife. Nightlife is all those discotheques you can go dancing and everything, okay? Vida nocturna. First class healthcare like hospitals, doctors, etc. Historic neighborhoods, vecindarios históricos. Low crime rates. Pleasant weather, like good weather. Varied retail shops. And like you have different shops, different options for shops. Wireless hotspots on internet gratis. So now let's talk about which for you is the most important. Okay, so we have to classify them. Okay, for you, which one is the most important to have a quality of life?
Affordable housing.
Okay, very well. Affordable housing. That's an important aspect, right? Okay. Another other aspect that you consider is important?
Convenient public transportation.
Okay, very well. I would say also low crime rates. Right? If it's
First
too high.
class healthcare.
First class healthcare, exactly. So you can go to hospital or anything. What else?
Wireless hotspots.
Very well. I would say also pleasant weather, right? If it's too hot or too cold, may be a problem. Okay, so we are going to see, in your opinion, what's the best place to live? What's the best country or the best city to live? What is the best place for you to live? What do you think has the highest? Can you tell me names of countries that you think have the best quality for a good life?
In my opinion, the best city is Cancun in the country. Yeah.
Okay, so you love Cancun.
I think that Norway, that's it correct.
Norway, very well.
How do you say Finlandia?
Islandia,
No, Finlandia,
Finland,
Finland. But
Finland.
I enjoy living here.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to see like some. Some say Canada. Algunos dicen Canadá, pero
Top-notch universities
muchos-
are
many Canadians here. Hay muchos canadienses que se vienen a vivir a México porque Canadá que vivir en los pueblitos o en las ciudades donde llegan a vivir. They say it's very expensive. It's not affordable. And I always tell them, hey, but I have students. Yo tengo alumnos que quieren ir a Canadá, incluso están estudiando inglés para mudarse a Canadá, quieren un trabajo en Canadá, quieren una oportunidad en Canadá. And what they say is that it's just not possible to live there, right? So there are many people moving from there. And actually I have some. There's even this guy, está incluso esta persona que es de una de las familias que les comenté, que decía que su propósito es nunca regresar a Canadá, prefería ir a cualquier otro país que regresar a Canadá, a su país. And here in Mexico, we consider Canada like a very good country. Like it's beautiful and that's great opportunity for Mexicans, like the Canadian dream, ¿no? El sueño canadiense, ¿no? It's not like it is. Like one thing is visiting for tourism, of course, and another thing is living there. They always say, I don't know why, but they always talk about the good things of living in Mexico y hablan acerca de lo fresca que son los alimentos, the variety of fruits and vegetables. And sometimes I think that us as Mexicans, we forget that we live in a good country in some way, right? Yeah, it's not the top of security, right? No es el país más seguro. México no es el país más igualitario, but we have many good things, and that those foreigners admire or they don't have in their countries, no lo tienen en su país también. Mi esposa me dice que ya no quiere regresar a su país. She doesn't want to go back to Poland, and I love how it looks, but she says there's nothing to do there. Me dice, allá no hay nada que hacer. Es totalmente aburrido. So, what's the best country? Let's see.
free for everyone. No wonder there's nearly 700,000 expats. And while the economy certainly isn't the biggest, it is growing fast, with the GDP per capita increasing from just $38,000 in 2020 to $49,000 today. Plus, since it's one of the cheapest countries in Europe, the poverty rate is just 5.6%, which is the second lowest of any nation. Actual number 10, Japan. With nearly 125 million residents spread across 421 inhabited islands, and so many different ways of life, from the bamboo forests and historic temples of Kyoto, to the snow-capped volcanoes, cherry blossom trees, and idyllic mountain villages, to the tropical beaches of Okinawa, and the largest city in the world in Tokyo, you might expect Japan to struggle keeping things organized. Not only is this gorgeous country home to some of the cleanest and safest cities, however, it's also one of the most technologically advanced nations, with the best rail system, insanely quick internet, over 5 million vending machines, and even heated toilet seats. A big reason for this is the country's emphasis on educating the youth to not just do the bare minimum, but rather constantly innovate and problem solve. In fact, Japan's schooling system is the second best of any country and the most equal in terms of poor and rich students receiving similar quality of education. But while this is great for the economy, which is the third largest of any nation with a GDP of 4.41 trillion, an unemployment rate of just 2.6%, and so many cutting-edge companies, it also means the Japanese are overworked and don't have time to focus on other aspects of life like dating or raising a family. This has led to a large elderly population, with the death rate being nearly double the birth rate. But hey, at least if you live here, you'll live a long time, as the life expectancy of 85 years is the highest on Earth. Number 9. The Netherlands. It's a miracle that the Netherlands even exists, with 26% of its area located below sea level and nearly 50% of its population living below sea level. In fact, if it weren't for the ingenuity of the country's many dikes, dunes, canals, and pumps, 65% of the country would be underwater at high tide. The fact that it's also one of the 10 best countries just proves the Dutch are overachievers.
Netherlands is very beautiful. They, is the country that has more bikes, where people use more the bike than cars. Se utiliza mucho más la bicicleta que los autos. And very safe, very beautiful.
But they aren't overworked. The Netherlands has the shortest average work week at just 30.3 hours to go along with 29 paid vacation days. But despite, or perhaps because they don't work as much, the Dutch are more productive with the time they do work, leading to a GDP per capita of 70 grand. And sure, taxes are quite high, but the residents don't stress spending more.
They say in Europe and other countries, taxes are super high. Es decir, más de la mitad de lo que ganas, y esto también en teoría es en México, ¿no? Pero the taxes you pay in other countries not the same you would pay in. Like you say, wow, you earn a lot of money, vives en el extranjero, ganas en dólares, ganas en euros, tienes mucho dinero, but you have to pay the taxes, right? So because taxes, los impuestos y el costo de vida es tan alto, entonces un salario que a lo mejor no suena aquí muy alto, en realidad no lo es allá, right? Por eso la gente se viene a vivir acá, para que rinda su dinero.
Since they know the money is being put to good use. The schools are fantastic. The hybrid public-private healthcare system, where insurance companies are required to accept everyone on the same premium, is highly ranked, and the pension plan is the second best on Earth. Plus, the Netherlands still has the second highest net after-tax income of any country at $53,100. And with nearly no unemployment or crime, a non-judgmental progressive culture, and charming unique cities such as Amsterdam, it's no surprise the Dutch are the 9th happiest populace. Although outside of the tulip fields in the spring, the Netherlands certainly isn't winning any most beautiful country awards. Number 8. Finland. While the Dutch are very happy people, Finland has been the happiest country for 7 years running. And its capital, Helsinki, is the happiest city. And it's not just because Finns drink way more coffee than any other nation. Although, with how cold and dark it can get, I don't blame them. The Lapland region is also one of the best places to view the Northern Lights, however, and with the cleanest air and water quality on Earth and 31 fully paid vacation days to enjoy the gorgeous untouched forests, rivers, and lakes which make up 85% of the country, there's not much to complain about, especially since the government is the least corrupt of any nation.
Very well. So tomorrow we'll continue. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you later.
Thank you, teacher. See you later.